And we're back. So I officially launched my project from last week, and now we're on to Brian's project. Go ahead. Let's hear about it, my man.
That's true. Before we jump in, is there any follow-up? Anything worth talking about with the Camp Puppet?
There probably will be next week because I kind of did the soft launch. Everything's live, but I haven't really promoted it yet. I'm hoping to do the full promotional launch tomorrow. So we'll pick up after that.
Okay, cool. So in that case, yeah, I guess now that we're on to kind of actual real world projects, the major thing that I mean, I've got so many, but the major thing I've been working on recently is getting more and more into online education, right? Kind of asynchronous education with online courses, and
Yeah.
it's been really interesting because I had the one that I launched last year. It's the first time I ever did one, the Audio 101 for Content Creators course, which has been great. It's not like it's selling a tremendous amount, but I've had a couple dozen people go through it, and most of them are finishing, and it's 4 hours worth of videos, and most of them are finishing or getting pretty close, which I'm really happy with because that's like the big thing. Most people, when they buy an online course, buy it, go through the first 2 or 3 videos, and then forget and never go back to it. So most people just spend money on them, and that's a big problem. So I'm happy with that, and I wanted to really start developing education around podcasting because I think there's a big gap in podcast education, which is you can find courses on kind of the podcast mindset, right? You can find stuff around finding your voice and figuring out how to be on microphone and things like that. And then totally randomly, you can find audio, stuff about microphones and everything like that. But I've never seen any podcasting course that really truly balances all of the mindset stuff, all the finding your voice stuff, all the motivation, all the creation and branding and all that aspect with really serious discussion of audio and different ways to leverage audio in order to create whatever impact you're trying to have on your audience. And I don't want to say like there's no such thing as like the best audio or the best microphone, right? But if you get its foundation of an audio understanding, then you can decide, do I want my podcast to be more intimate, like we're doing kind of like with this, big microphones like this that allow us to really have this sound like we're speaking into someone's ear versus very conversational formats that would be different. So I'm going down that road, and I launched the first of my podcasting courses, this tiny little accelerator course, which is literally designed to help somebody launch their podcast in 7 days from start to finish. One video per day, one action step per day. If you do the video and do the action step every day, you have no idea what your podcast is going to be about starting today. 1 week from today, you will have already launched publicly your first episode.
That's so
That was the
cool.
goal.
Yeah. Is there like a supply list that goes with it or a recommended supply list? Like, because I can imagine you could make that class 10 times based on different gear that people have.
Yeah, that was probably the trickiest part of developing the accelerator course is where do I focus when it comes to the tech? And ultimately I decided to do almost no tech focus in the accelerator course. So all that's being used is your phone. All we're doing is using your phone as your microphone and Audacity for doing very bare minimum editing. So Audacity is free on Windows and Mac, and your phone, if you can listen to this, then you already have a phone, right? So we don't need to worry about people who don't have a smartphone because they wouldn't be doing this.
Yes.
So yeah, all I do is I teach in terms of the audio itself. I teach folks in the lesson on actually recording yourself how to position your phone and how to speak past and at what angle to maximize the quality of your phone. Not saying it's going to be like using this, right?
Yeah.
But just start with your phone. So I haven't. I was thinking about adding like a bonus module into that accelerator course that does a bare bones overview of different types of microphones and stuff. But as soon as I do that, it feels like I'm starting to just slide into one of my big audio courses. And the goal was to keep this cheap and effective. It's really cheap, and it's designed to be in out 7 days, get off the ground, make first, learn later is almost what this is designed to be.
Yeah, of course. And that's kind of my mantra, getting anyone to do something creative is the thinking is what stops them. So I think that's great. because that you need. I think that the more you can, as a content creator that's trying to help people create stuff, the more you can just take away excuses and barriers, the more chance you have of getting people to create stuff.
Yeah, and that's really what I wanted this one to be about, was exactly that, is being getting rid of all the friction, right? And more than anything, this 7-day course is supposed to be, for me, the my big mission with this course was to say that voice in the back of your head that tells you, you're not supposed to be a podcaster. That's something other people get to do, right? That resistance voice, right? As you and I both, Stephen Pressfield and the War of Art, that whole thing, the
Hmm.
voice of the resistance. That's what this course is supposed to do, is that it's me going, all right, day one, you're going to decide what your topic is. And I'm going to, in 10 minutes, talk you through how to decide that. Okay, you decided? Great. Day two, we're going to name your podcast. Let's not think too hard. Here's a couple different ways to come up with a name. Great. Got it. Day three. You know what I mean? That's what this was designed to do, is just take all those questions that go, well, first you need to really think about your top. Then you need to spend 3 months coming up with a name. And then you need to spend a while, right? It's just, let's do it all first. Because the worst thing that happens is you launch, you do it for a couple weeks, you decide this isn't really the topic you want to commit to. It's fine. Choose a new topic. Try again in a week, right?
Yeah. Yeah. When I was in college, I almost actually took it as one of my, a minor in creative studies they have at Buffalo State College. But I did end up taking a class in creative studies, which is it's a really interesting, what do you call it? Not class, but,
Curriculum,
department.
course?
Department.
Oh, department.
Yeah, yeah, it's a really interesting department, and they have a lot of really cool courses. But I took the 101, and learned a lot of things in that class that I carry with me. And one of those things was defer judgment when trying to be creative.
Mm,
And that's just like, it's that voice in your head that says, no, that's not right, which is a lot of kind of what you're talking about is, and don't be too clever, kind of like with naming it. And
right.
there's actually now, again, 5 years ago, be as clever as you want, just put the right tags in. But now a lot of these platforms don't let you do tags, or if they let you do tags, the platforms don't use them anyway.
Right.
So that was something we found with our podcast, because ours was called Puppet Tears, as in teardrop podcast, and we found out if you typed in puppeteer, nothing came up because it's spelled differently. So then we put in a subtitle too. So it's Puppeteers Podcast. Puppetry Shop Talk. No, that's what it was.
Right.
When you typed in the word puppetry, nothing came up for us, which
Right.
was crazy. So that alone helped we were too clever, which would have been fine
Right.
10 years ago, 5 years ago. But now that, I think that's the hard thing, is so many people, just to get their podcasts more views, they'd type in things that were getting a lot of views that even had nothing to do with their podcasts, which doesn't help, you know?
Right.
So yeah, they took care of that. So
Yeah. So I think when it comes to, like, something that we can talk through or work out today, one of the big questions I'm having is how far to go into the online course territory for podcasting. So I've got this accelerator, which I just wanted to get off the ground. Now I've filmed 90% of a massive master class. I mean, this is like 8 to 10 hours worth of instruction that comprises everything from the nitty gritty on all the audio stuff and every aspect of microphones, every type of microphone, and different kinds that you would use for different situations, all the way to solo podcasting, remote group podcasting, editing, all that stuff. And then also all the mindset stuff in way more depth than this accelerator. So it's, it would be like just 8-10 hours, a lifetime worth that you could go back to as a resource, as an ongoing resource, go back to whenever you need it. And that was going to be, I think what we had come up with for a title was podcasting for professionals. That course I'm conceiving it as being something that is really more for an entrepreneur, small business owner that wants to get into using a podcast professionally. What was it?
oh, nothing. I just coughed. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Um, so really designed for somebody who's not just wants to do a podcast with their friends and talk about their favorite TV show, but somebody who wants to use it for their business, or even maybe they're the HR department of a corporation and their boss wants them to start a podcast as a public facing branding, platform, something like that. And I wanted that to be a resource. And I guess I got 90% of the way through filming it and then stopped because I had filmed 10 hours worth of footage I was already editing and just going, is this just too much? Is a course that has this much in it, whether people are willing to pay for it or not, different issue. Even if they're willing to pay for it, let's say I can get people to give me $500 for that course or $1,000 for that course, right? Let's say I can find those people, fine. If I give them 8 hours worth of content, am I just wasting the opportunity to have somebody who's paying attention? Is it better to have a lot of smaller, tighter, more focused courses on different topics than one giant course that's got a resource for life? You understand the
Yeah.
problem I'm having here?
Oh yeah. I mean, I know the answer. You're not gonna like it. You need both, right? That's the
Yeah.
answer. Because at the end of the day, people like to consume things differently, And by having the micro content, it's more likely for people to find it and then find you as a producer, and then maybe want to buy your bigger course. It depends. There are some people that are just trying to fix that problem that they have, and there's people that want to start from scratch, which seems like more of what you're trying to grab people with. I would say start with I mean, you already filmed it, so start with your big course. And I do think that, and then over time you can make your smaller content for people based on the needs of maybe what they say in that course. If someone buys this course and says, hey, this was great, here are some things I'd like in the future, kind of helps curate that creation for you a little bit based on the needs.
Yeah, no, that's true because actually that's the course I was making was the big one, and then it was through making that course that I realized this accelerator would be a cool idea. And so the way I've got it set up is once I do ever launch that big course, whenever that happens, the very first module is just going to be this mini accelerator course. So it's like if you buy the big one, you're getting the tiny little one as a part of it in case you want to go through that. And I'll in the future, if somebody's already did the accelerator, they'll be able to upgrade minus the cost they already spent because it's
That's
already
nice.
like
Yeah.
whatever. That's no problem. So here's an interesting branding question because I feel like you always have a good insight into this stuff, which is this stuff for me, the podcasting education instruction. It kind of feels like it fits somewhere in between my two different channels in the Venn diagram. It sits somewhere between my human connection, engagement, lifestyle mindset of an artist, and the audio training. And I can't figure out which channel it should be, which should be its home.
Yeah. I think it should definitely be on the audio channel. And
Yeah.
I think having some of that stuff drip in, some of your philosophy of it, into the audio channel will make people more potentially interested to also follow your other channel. Because your other channel has a very specific goal. Not only a very specific goal, a specific goal that the clients of that channel would be like, why the heck is there audio training stuff on here? If you're a speaker on human connection in Australia, they're like, why is there how to use a Movi microphone on here? Like what? Like what? That doesn't make any sense, right? But you as an individual, it's just who you are. It's honest.
Yeah.
So it's better to have your speaker stuff and then your audio stuff with a little bit of drip of speaker stuff, where I wouldn't have your speaker stuff with a little drip of audio because it can lean one way, but it can't really lean the other.
Which brings up an unrelated to this, but related to what you just said problem. And I'm going to throw this out there. If you want to dive into it, we can. Otherwise, we can stick to the topic. But this is what happens with projects is they tend to tangent out from each other, which is the collaboration work I'm doing with big companies now. Most of these big companies that I'm starting to work with to do reviews and tutorials and stuff, on their products, which are mostly audio products, they're doing these collabs with me because of the videos I made on Audio Gear on the channel that I've since converted, right? So on my main channel that is now all human connection, that is the home of the videos these companies are doing, are willing to do these collabs with me for. The question is, can I put those collab videos on my audio channel, which is not the channel that they originally came to me for. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
absolutely. I mean, they if one thing another company understands, it's rebranding. Because essentially you just tell them the truth. Like, you didn't. This is your speaker channel, and you just did these videos for quote unquote fun because it's a hobby that you're very passionate about and very you have training in. You're an
Yeah.
expert in, and it took off in a way that you didn't expect it to. So you created this new brand, and they'll completely understand that. And in 5 years, we'll be looking back on this and saying, of course, that was the right decision because
Yeah.
you'll have 20,000 followers by then on your speaker channel, and you'll have 170,000 on your audio channel.
And I think that's honestly that's the conversation to have with those brands, is to say, listen, I know right now it looks silly that I'm telling you I'm going to put these big videos that we're doing together that you're trusting me with on my channel that's a tenth of the size of the other one, but in a year it's going to flip because that this little niche audio channel is the one that everybody's searching for. That's where all that stuff is living, and that's where you want it anyway.
And the thing is, too, I honestly think that they understand that. I wouldn't
Yeah.
even bring up that conversation unless they bring it up. I wouldn't hide it, but
Yeah.
it's not an issue because first of all, it is going to happen that fast, and secondly, to be again, I don't say this with even my channel. I have 55,000. You have 15,000. Like that's still not a lot to these companies.
Yeah.
Even if
No,
it's
it's
more
true.
than they have. If you just go on the YouTube, splash page, you're not going to find a channel with under 100,000.
No, it's
You're
true.
not even gonna find it. So it's no difference to them.
Even the biggest audio channels on the platform have about 200K at max that are really dedicated audio channels. I mean, it's a super niche area when it comes to instruction.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
yeah, again, yeah, you're doing the right thing, and I
Yeah.
wouldn't worry about that at all.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. That was just kind of a tangent, but yeah. So I guess I'm just trying to figure out when to go forward with the bigger podcasting course, or do I just launched this little accelerator. I probably need to let my subscriber base, let my audience breathe for a while before I launch another course, right? I mean, I probably need to give it a
I
little
don't think
bit of
so.
room.
I don't think so because here's the thing, and I would say this to a lot of content creators, especially when you're doing training like that, and if you're thinking of your followers. So if you build one course and then you launch it, and again, let's just use these numbers. Let's say you have 15,000 subscribers, okay, and then let's say it gets 5,000 views, okay, and then you launch the next day your next one, and that one gets 6,000 views. In my mind, it's not like one got 1,000 views more. It's now you hit 1,100 people that wanted different things,
Mm.
because people are only going to watch the things that they want and or need. So if you put out two very different contents at the same time, you know, I mean, maybe there will be a small amount of competition, but either way, this is building a library for the long run. This isn't viral content that's based on, if you don't know this now, you're going to be in trouble.
No.
And it's not gonna, like, expire necessarily unless the technology does, but audio doesn't really expire in the same way that, like, video stuff does. So I would just produce it as fast as you can without burning yourself out and taking over other things because it's just gonna appeal to different people. Again,
Well,
I'm
and
not it's like
it
ordering pizza. Like
yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
It
Go
is
ahead.
and it is designed for a different market, as we were talking about earlier, which was the accelerator was designed for kind of just amateur YouTubers, just people who have always got, oh man, I wish I would like to start a podcast, or I want to talk about the comic books I like with my best friend, or my wife and I want to talk about Disney movies that we like, and we just want to do a podcast. And the accelerator was designed to get those people to bury the resistance and just start making stuff, which is why it's so cheap, and it's designed to be 7 days in and out, done. It's not an ongoing resource. It's a kick in the pants. That's what that is. And then this big one is designed for, like I said, professionals, entrepreneurs, small business owners, freelancers who want to leverage a podcast as part of their business. And so for them, it's designed to be a really deep resource that they don't have to follow chronologically every video in order. They can go to the videos, go to the modules that make sense for them. And so it is a totally different market, intended audience
Yeah.
there. So
Did you make a podcast for people who don't need any technical help yet?
did I make a course?
I'm sorry, a podcast course, yes.
For people who don't, so a course that's only mindset, marketing, branding, art stuff, you mean? That's
Yeah,
no
and
audio?
also how to get again, let's say, I mean, because I'm going to be probably working on helping a company start a podcast or in a theater company, and it's a theater company. They know audio, and they do it
Mm,
in every single show, but they don't necessarily know all the best way to get started as far as setting up the RSS feed, why to choose, especially when there's, I mean, we're both in these podcast groups. So like, which one hosting should I use? And because there's so many choices, like there must be a difference, right? And even so people don't understand why to
yeah.
choose one over another, and assuming they already know audio stuff, starting a podcast is they would have questions.
Well, that's mostly what I, like you said. I don't know if there's a course that can be designed for that. That to me is a consulting package or a coaching package. That to me is we get on Zoom calls and work one-on-one over the course of 6 weeks, or whatever, as I help you develop and work through which is the right call for you. Because I feel like if I built a course around that, there's too many variables. Because I'd have to ask you, okay, are you looking for this or are you looking for that? What type of this? What type of that? And every answer is going to would make me teach something or show them something different.
Yeah, it was then I guess what I would recommend and what you probably should do is make a 5 to 10 minute video that does two things. First of all, teaches probably the most likely way, as well as says, if this way doesn't fit your needs exactly, I'm available for consultation.
That's it's
you know?
it's funny because so many people, I don't promote anywhere. There's nowhere publicly that says I coach people on audio. I do private coaching or consulting on audio. I've been doing a ton of it recently. People are just reaching out to me cold because of my audio channel, because of the courses. Sometimes just because they like the sound of my videos. They've just every time they hear my videos, they're like, "Your audio sounds better than any channel I watch. Can you help me get good audio? Is that something you do? I don't even know what I'm asking." Like I literally get those emails like, "I'm not even sure what I'm asking. Can you help me?" And I'm like, "Yeah, actually I can. Here's a link to book an appointment," which is funny because then they realize, oh, that it is something I do, but I've never promoted it anywhere. There's not a single page on the internet that says I do that. So the fact that people are reaching out, even though I don't say I do that, means I clearly should be promoting it,
Yeah. Or again, or
obviously,
at least have it searchable.
or at least
So
have it searchable. Yeah. So which all of which is bringing me to the big, the big thing that I don't want to tackle, which is building another new website. Because the further I go into this, I'm just going, I need an actual website to host all the audio stuff, to host the courses, to host the consulting thing. I need it bare bones, fine. I don't know if I need to go all the way down the WordPress hole like I do for
just
the other
two
three
hours.
websites.
2 hours, just do it.
I know. I keep going like, no. I own all the domain names. You know me.
Well, that's the thing.
I hoard them.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say. I figured you at least did that. That's what I
I
was
have
gonna
them.
ask. I was like, it's not even worth asking because I know he did it. But that was the same thing I was even struggling with the Camp Puppet thing. Like, oh, should I bother getting it? I got the domain name anyway. I was like, oh, geez, my website already gets really good views and stuff. Should I just build it off of that? And so I don't know. I ended up doing it anyway, and I put banner ads on my own website to take people to that. So we'll
Yeah,
see
well,
how.
and you asked me if you needed a website, and I told you yes without a second's note, without a second's thought. I mean, so you're just saying it right back to me. I mean, yeah, when you asked me, do I need? You think I need a website just for the? Yes, yes, you do.
Yeah.
And it was like there's no question to me, and so I know I need a website now that I've really over the last few months sitting in lockdown with not much else to do, you know, without being on the road and all this time, I've gone down the rabbit hole of the audio training stuff because I enjoy it and it makes sense to me. And it doesn't feel like a compromise on my time because I enjoy it. And so I just keep going, yeah, you need a website. Now you're doing it for real. It's not just a passion project on YouTube anymore. If you're doing it for real, you need a website.
Yeah.
It's such a pain. I hate being right. Um, yeah, so I guess I'm not sure how much we accomplished apart from I ended up having a lot more work to do at the end of this conversation. But
Well, we accomplished that. The fact that you need to build a website. So I expect to see it. That's your homework by next week.
yeah, yeah, by next week. Sure. Sure. Well, it'll get easier because I just wrapped the third season of my podcast. So I have 2-hour episodes that are going to come out, but I already finished filming and recording the last 2 episodes of this season. So once they're edited and published, then I got a couple months break without the podcast, which, as you know, with editing and filming and coordinating and everything, once I have a couple months where I don't need to deal with the podcast, then I can repurpose that time and then I have a baby, and then who knows what happens.
Yeah. Well, without any further ado, I think anything we want to throw at the audience?
I'm at a
What do you
loss.
think? What do you think, audience? Am I right? Should Brian build a website? Anyway,
I'm
I guess
definitely curious if anybody's watching who's familiar with both of my channels. I'm definitely curious what you think about where to host the. I know, Adam, you're hardcore, definitely host it on the audio page. But I would still, from somebody, if there's somebody who watches both of my channels and sees the difference between them, I've tried to make them more obviously separate channels recently. I've tried to use completely different music on them and different colors and everything. So I'd definitely be interested in that opinion. But I guess until next time, on to the
on to
next
the next
project.
project.